Almost ready. There we go. Okay, we're recording now. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, one and all. Happy day to you. I hope your day is going well. Hope you got all your chores done. I just did, and I'm sitting down now to speak with my TikTok friends. Johnny is here.
Hi, Brian.
Hello, how are you today? What's on your
I'm
mind?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
This
I
is
got my
the
chores done. It's gonna get really, really cold here in Maine for the next 2 days. It's gonna be so I wanted to get all my chores done before then. But
Are you are
yeah,
you in are you in Canada by any chance?
I'm close. I'm about as close as you get. I'm in Maine, which is the most northeastern corner of the United States, and
Because
Canada.
we have very cold morning coming in the next week.
Yeah,
I did all my groceries done. I get everything I need. I don't want to go outside tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So
What
you're
side
from?
of Where in Canada are you? Like
I
east
mean,
side, west side, or in
I'm
the
in
middle?
Toronto. I'm in Toronto. I'm in the city.
Okay,
Yeah. This is
nice.
a. By the way, I wanted to say this is not the background I imagined. Okay,
Oh, this?
I've never seen a background like this. This is very nice. By the way, okay, and
Yeah,
yeah,
this is like a
yeah.
200-year-old farmhouse with
This is
old ancient wallpaper.
this is homey. This is homey. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Either way, it's fine. But I talked to the I want to talk to you today. Just a little short brief period of time. Uh, it's just that I spoke to someone on the live that that wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh
Are
Jesus.
you? Yeah, I can still hear you. Everything okay?
Yeah. Hold. Yeah. Just. Oh, do you remember when we talked about the Pangea and in relation of time and why not and everything was we were evolved from a single cell to evolution, right? So this dude actually dropped on me that we're descended. Basically, we're the lowest form of alien that was put on this earth. So we're descended. We're actually we were greater before, much greater, much more powerful, much more knowledge, much more. But
So let me ask you a couple questions real quick. Are you suggesting that all of the other life on the planet arose naturally through natural processes and that we are separate somehow, that we
no,
are the descendants of an alien
I,
life form?
I, I haven't really got that far yet, but I thought about it. I believe that the animals are a part of evolution, but humans were put on the earth.
Well, I would suggest you take a deep dive into the study of genomes. You look at how we understand evolution. You know, when we can compare our genome to the genome of chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans, etc., we all share a common ancestor. So either the whole theory of alien panspermia in any kind of sense is
Because
not
you
mapped
know
with
why?
reality,
You
or
know,
that we evolved
hold on,
parallel to
yeah,
bonobos and chimpanzees and orangutans.
hold your thought for one bit, okay?
Okay.
The reason why a, it bothers me that much, and not bothering me, but just it's something new to me. It's like, okay, if you were descended, okay, the Pangea, the age of Pangea is 200 million years, and the human existence is 7 million years. So human came after the Pangea was almost finished. No,
No.
Nope, no, seven. Modern humans have it's hard. It's a little fuzzy, but modern humans kind of evolved as a separate, a different species about 1 million years ago. Am I in the mark, Chelsea? You might
So
know better than I do.
no,
Welcome, Chelsea.
you're
By the way,
hey,
welcome.
hi Chelsea.
you're close to the mark. So I think spermia, like the panspermia theory, with like the beginning of time, like there is this the smallest of chance that we were an alien virus that was like floating through space that landed here, but that's like really tiny. Like it's way more likely. Like that's the smallest chance. So like I think he's confusing maybe that theory with like maybe putting humans here. Because like
Yeah,
I mean there are theories that say that things may have come from outer space, but like microscopically.
But Chelsea, we are aliens too.
Right? No,
well,
because I mean alien
possibly.
means
Like,
not of this world.
right, it's possible. There is
Alien
a
means not of this
wild
world,
theory.
right?
So there is a wild theory that the first organic compounds came from outer space attached to an asteroid or something, landed in an asteroid, and that was the start of Earth, right? Or life. Of the process of evolution thus started after that theory. We have a very small amount of evidence to support that theory. The evidence is that we actually put tardigrades in the vacuum, the cold, hard vacuum of space, for several hours or days, and they survived, right? And we also have found complex amino acids on the surface of asteroids. But we have never observed a fossil on an asteroid or Mars. We've never observed any kind of bacteria or viruses, right? So we're talking about very basic evidence. It's much more likely that the conditions on Earth were just right at some point in our past, millions, hundreds of millions of years ago. What was it? 500 million years ago, somewhere early, long time ago, where the basic non-organic compounds led to more complex organic compounds. And
Billion.
we see this in things like the Miller-Urey experiment.
Billion.
Is it billion?
Can't be a couple million.
All right, let's go to the Googles. When did life begin on Earth? About 3.7 billion years ago. See? Don't believe a thing I say. Always look it up.
I was like, can't be a million, gotta be billion. Sorry, buddy. Well, because
Right.
think about the evolution cycle. Like we talk about, like we can't understand the vastness of what it would take for something like that to evolve in 1 billion years.
But but
Yeah.
but
So
Chelsea,
Damn.
but Chelsea, everybody,
How old is
Brian,
how old is
everybody,
Terrence?
we have to have an open mind of everything, right?
Oh, we
Because
have
we
yeah.
very
don't
open
know.
minds.
We don't know. We really don't know. We're just trying
We
to we're just
nope,
trying to
nope.
enlighten each other, because sometimes I wouldn't have this a thought in my head if I wasn't talking to you. So if you talk to the right person, it can actually bring out something that is not out of yourself. Do you agree what I'm saying?
No, I think I'm missing a little bit. Can you say it again?
Um okay, so sometimes when we ourselves can create a question and answer a question. Therefore, when you speak to somebody and there was a question for you, you are forced to answer it. Or you can ask questions and the other person, so it bring out more out of you. You know what I mean? When you're
Huh?
talking to someone, it
Nope.
brings more out of you rather than talking to yourself. I mean,
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Are
Okay,
we talking about the
let me
pursuit of knowledge? What are we talking about here?
yeah, so
energy.
when when we're by ourselves, right? If we're just sitting alone in a room, all we have are our own thoughts, right? But when we speak with someone else, now we can start sharing ideas. And
Uh,
it's that sharing of ideas that allow us to grow. Because if without talking with other people, we will never come up with the questions that other people come up with, right? So
Thank you.
that the
Thank you.
process of conversation is what leads us to knowledge. And earlier you said there are some things we can never know. Well, I agree that there are some things that we will never know, but that doesn't mean we can't know other things with a high degree of certainty. What's the purpose of the heart, right? The heart pumps blood. That is its function. We know this.
you're
Unless you have
wrong.
another
It's love.
unless you have another candidate explanation, I think we should all be able to agree that one of the primary functions of our heart as a mammal is to move the blood throughout our circulatory system, right?
And did you know that our heart has a brain and it can think for itself?
Nope.
Yeah. Google that.
No,
Google that.
No.
no,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
not
So
true.
So
so
does
so
your so
no.
does your
Hold on. Hold on.
so
Hold
does
on.
your
Hold on.
stomach.
Hold your
So
horses.
does your stomach. It has its own
No.
brain.
No. 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 They are connected to your brain, which allows your brain to make decisions
Yeah,
without.
that's basically what I mean. Yeah. Not
Right,
has
but when
yeah.
you use loose language like the heart has its own brain, that's not true. The heart is connected to the nervous system. The system is connected to the neck bone. The neck bone's connected to the head bone, and the head bone contains the brain. The brain is the central nervous system along with the spinal cord, right? And then that branches out to all the other organs
I mean,
and
technically, he's not
muscles and stuff.
wrong. I mean, my brain is my heart's one and only brain. He's not totally wrong, but it's not like it's a separate brain from its own brain. I instantly went to oh, what was that movie where they were smashing the Spy Kids when they had the itty bitty little tiny brains and they were smashing the brains. You got we're watching a movie.
I don't know what kind of movie that is, but go ahead.
um,
It's very
They
interesting.
were synthetic. They weren't real. It's fine.
Oh,
let's talk real briefly about Terrence. Okay. This is a very, very complex fossil. Life didn't
how
just,
many years how old is that?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that trilobites existed between, I have to look it up again, I think it's 360 and 520 million years ago. That's the window that this guy existed in.
Oh my
So I
god.
like to just say he's 333 million years old
Can I
because
can I
330 million just
can
rolls
I
off the
ask,
tongue.
did you break a window of a museum or something?
No, you can buy these yourself. Go online and find a trilobite fossil. My mother is lending this to me and I don't know where she got it from, but he's magnificent. And what we can learn from Terence is that life didn't just pop into existence. It's a very long, slow, gradual process of evolution. The wheels of evolution turn very slowly. When you look at the entire 3.7 billion years of the existence of life, organic life evolving, eating, pooping, dying, recreating, right? Life is very old and complex, and it's gone through many transitions.
It started
And
really, really tiny.
and when
Itsy
you
bitsy teeny weeny.
and when you compare us to the rest of life, you have to conclude that we are firmly part of it and nothing else extraordinary, nothing alien. There's nothing alien about us. We are made up of the same materials, the same stardust as all of the other life forms, more or less. I mean, there are some exceptions, like the crabs that have blue blood and stuff like that. But
Yeah, what's up with that, right?
there's no evidence to suggest that we were planted here by some kind of alien life form.
Except for jellyfish.
No.
But
Yeah,
you don't know
mushroom and mushrooms and stuff. You know,
but
whatever.
honestly, truly, you don't know that for a fact.
I
That's
mean,
Because
right.
we
That's
can get pretty close.
you can't back it up.
We
But
you are right in
this
the
is
sense.
what's so interesting about this this life is that we get to share whatever we think, right? So at the end of the day, when you hear the same answer over and over and over again, majority always wins, right?
Right,
So
but
you
No,
lack of proof doesn't equal causality. Like, doesn't mean that just because it no one can prove it didn't happen doesn't mean it was aliens.
no, I'm just saying, just us talking, like we're talking about something that nobody knows, okay? And just because we're talking we're sharing ideas, because I have my way of knowing, you have your way of knowing, we can share ideas. And when you hear enough of it, the most, like the common, like the most people, that the truth are usually the majority of opinions. Am I am I
that's
am I
that's
am I right? Or
so you're talking about the fallacy of popularity. At one point in time, most of the people on Earth believed that the Earth was
Careful!
flat.
Damn it,
They
Barney.
believed that that the sun orbited around the
5,000, that
Earth.
was about 5,000 years ago, right?
Nope.
Wasn't that around it?
No, that was a couple hundred years ago.
A couple hundred years ago?
Yes, sir.
When the majority of people thought these things. Yes. So we know now that the majority of belief does not equate reality, right? Even though you have different ways of learning, it doesn't mean that your knowledge is true, right? So what is truth? Let's talk for a minute about truth. What is truth?
I
Do
think
you have an
truth
answer?
is I think truth is what you make of it.
Ah, I
No.
do not. I think truth is what the facts are. And
But
the
how do you know the
process,
facts? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
how do we know the facts?
Yeah.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Insert the scientific review process. It's a process that strips human emotion out of the truth. It's a process that removes our flawed understandings of the truth, of the facts, of the
If
facts. So,
if everyone was creating their own truths, we would be lying to ourselves consistently. We could tell ourselves
yeah,
whatever time it was. We could tell ourselves that it was however cold outside. I can eat whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? Like if we made our own truths, then anything could be anything. But that's not in fact how the world works.
So basically we're just keeping each other in check.
Kinda,
Basically.
that's the
kinda.
idea. Yeah, that's the goal, right? So let me put it this way. If you've got a room of 100 people and you ask each one of them, what is God to you? You're going to get at least 100 different answers. Now, if you put a group of 100 people in a room and ask them to figure out the mathematical equation of gravity, through a long review process, we should be able to get to basic Newtonian physics, right? The process through which we observe reality can be measured, demonstrated, repeated, testable, right? Repeatable. We can use it to predict the future. We can actually use basic Newtonian physics to get humans from Earth to the moon, right? But but our understanding is better when we remove people's emotional connection to these truths, right? Because if you just ask people to believe or share what they believe is gravity, now you're going to get 100 different answers. The scientific method is a very important process that allows us to strip out human emotion and belief to get to the truth. What are the facts, right? That's the importance of that's how we can understand things like the age of a 300 million year old trilobite fossil. Because you can believe this is 3,000 years old if you want, but that doesn't mean that your belief is true.
Okay, but the thing is, if no one can convince your belief, you have to eventually just gonna have to go with something, right? Or just say fuck it and just say whatever, right? Like
Um,
a lot of people have given up because they're so tired of it, and as a matter of fact, they can't even worry about how they're living these days. So not really many people that I know of are interested in religion. I mean, like they just have they just have too much on their plate. You know, they don't have time for
Uh,
anything else.
I'm a BRB. Okay.
Okay, okay. Um, I didn't follow that very well. Can you please repeat yourself?
Can you ask the question, please?
Can yeah, what did you just say?
Um.
It was something about people getting tired or lost or giving up on the pursuit of truth. Do you remember?
Okay. So if I think something is true, if you think something is true, don't you want me to respect your belief? Don't you?
Uh,
Okay. But there are people that will confront you, and they disagree with you, right?
well,
And
some beliefs
right,
are bad, right? Like you
well,
should we
to
should agree
you,
that some
wait a
beliefs are
minute,
very,
wait a
very
minute,
damaging and dangerous.
wait a minute. Okay, it might be it might seem to be dangerous to you, but there's a reason and a why that person is doing what that person is doing. Okay, there's a reason, and they're doing it, and no, and if you were to ask them why, they probably will never tell you. And so believe, I think, I really truly think that, okay, there's this guy on TikTok, and I'm not gonna mention what his name is, whatever, but every he's his title says is got real. And and when the question he asked, nobody can answer to begin with, and he doesn't even know himself, but people come up to his life, and he's bashing them, and telling and telling them that they don't know the answer, they don't know, they're wrong and this and that. So my like, okay, so he himself strike himself as atheist, but nobody knows, right? But
Yeah.
I just think that, okay, you are one of the most friendly and reasonable hosts I've ever seen. Okay, on TikTok. Okay, uh, I know you're putting up with me a lot. Okay, because I'm not really all together. I've been through a lot in my life. I'm 45 years old. All right, I've been through a lot, but and that's why now that, like, I'm starting to be awakened. You know what I mean? I want to seek for the truth. But the thing is, tell me this, okay? Tell me this. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to try the best way to answer this question as possibly you can, okay? Would you rather living unknowing the truth, or would you rather want to know and be paranoid for the rest of your life? The truth I'm talking about is the absolutely the ultimate, like the whole 9 yards, like the one that everybody wants to know. So you know what I mean? Like there are few of them. There are few of them, right? But like, you know what I mean, right?
I think
So
so. I
yeah.
think I know what you mean. So the question, if I can just repeat your question, would I rather be in ignorance or not know the answer to something, or would I rather know the answer to everything and be paranoid? But I don't think paranoia is the automatic response or emotion to knowing everything. So,
Okay,
first of
let's
all,
just let's I'm sorry, let me narrow my question.
yeah,
Let's just say no one knows what happens when you die, but you know what happens when you die. Now, when you know the information regarding to that, would you be paranoid for the rest of your life, or would you rather not knowing what happened when we die? and just find out naturally. Okay, just an example. There's many questions. There are many. You know what I mean? Like, okay. He says faith. Yes, yes. Faith has a lot to do with it. Like, like
Yeah, the discussion is more than just faith. This is about epistemology, the pursuit of knowledge. How do we tell the difference between truth and make believe or not truth? The difference between people's individual truth or understanding versus a consensus. The process of the scientific method, etc. So let me put it this way. Well, first, thank you for your kind words. I think a lot of people are frustrated with, like the guy you were talking about earlier. I think there's a place for everyone on TikTok as long as they're following the guidelines and not being, not harassing people. But when people jump on to this person, I think I know who you're talking about. When people jump on and want to give their evidence for God, he is already under the presupposition that there's no evidence for God in the natural
yeah,
world,
you know what
right?
I mean? Like,
I do, and I agree with that in the sense that every attempt to use natural evidence to demonstrate the existence of a God has failed because we would have seen evidence by now. We've been searching for thousands of years. So now God is removed
oh,
from the physical world, and he's placed outside of space and time. Now he's the prime mover, the deistic God, etc., etc. And you can't use reality-based evidence to prove something that's outside of
you
space and time.
actually, is that what actually you think? Is that what you think? He's outside of the universe? Is that what you
No, I'm
and you're just
talking
making an
about how
example.
I, I'm 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 illustrating what I observe people using as arguments for or against God. I'm not
Okay,
saying one way or another.
okay,
I'm just talking about the argument itself, the
okay.
mechanics of how people say, "Oh, well, you can't use physical properties to prove God's existence because God is outside of the physical properties of the universe."
But the
It-
funniest part is he gets mad when other
yeah,
people answers. I don't
yeah.
know
Do you know
why.
why?
Like, they're
Do you
fucking
know
trying
what?
to help him. He's so
No,
frustrated. He's dying for the answer. Everybody's diving in, and I fucking dive in. And I say, "Look, brother, just look around, okay? Look around. Look at the trees and look at the
yeah.
grass. Look at the soil. Look at the earth. Look everything that's around you.
Hmm.
That's God. We are all one. Okay?" And he fucking kicked me out of the fucking chat. Like, he's like,
I know.
so next time, I already have a comeback for next time. Next time I get in there, I'm gonna say, I know exactly what God is. If you fucking think God is real, God is real. If you don't
Let
think God is real, God won't be real. And that
let me
is
ask
your answer. Stop
let me
torturing
ask you
these people, these poor people. Like,
let me ask you a question. How important is it to you to prove God's existence to Mike or whoever that person you're talking about is?
I
How
just
important is
I
it to
just
you
feel
that you convince them?
I just feel like somebody needs to wake him the fuck up. Like, but I truly believe if I were to say it in a few sentences, he won't give me the time of the day. So I can't even do that. So I have to use the shortest form and
Hmm.
just finish it and get kicked out and just be ready to get kicked out because I will be anyways, right? So um
So I don't want to psychoanalyze his TikTok too much because I really appreciate what he does, and the reason I appreciate what he does is because he's using a rapid fire technique to get through as many people as he possibly can in the shortest amount of time to demonstrate what he believes, and I share this belief in many ways, to demonstrate the absurdity of people's argumentation for the existence of a God that cannot be demonstrated using natural criteria. Now, when you say,
I think he's getting pointers. He's getting ideas because he can't
well,
found them
yeah,
himself. So he's trying to search for other ideas. When other ideas doesn't agree with his point of view, he just fucking loses it, you know. And apparently, nobody fucking can match what he's thinking with. I don't know. Like I got kicked out the first time. So next time I have 3 sentences I want to say. That's it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you think that God is real, God is real. If you don't think God is real, God is not real. And stop torturing these people. Bye. Fuck. That's just what I want to say. Yeah.
Can can we can we get back for a moment to the idea that some ideas, like let's think about ideas for the minute, for a minute. Earlier you said that ideas should be respected. Do you think that that's a universal truth? Do you think that all ideas deserve respect? Or are there some ideas,
Okay.
for example, let's just throw an example out for a minute. If I have an idea, a belief that people with green eyes are better than people with blue eyes, and that all of the people with blue eyes should be, let's just say, removed from the equation.
So let
Now,
me.
I hope that you agree with me that that is
No,
a
no, 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 no,
terrible
no,
idea that
no,
does
no, no,
not
no,
deserve a shred of respect. Yeah?
no, no, no. Okay. Let me just put it this way. Okay. In the history, it's been a long time. People are different. They get perished. Okay. If you're different, you're perished. That's the simplest fact. But I just fucking lost. I lost my thought just for that second. Can you just explain? Just say what you just said just
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Yeah, I want my question to you is about respecting ideas and beliefs.
I
If
got
I
it. I got it.
believe,
I
right,
got it.
so do,
I got it.
okay.
Okay. So in the older days, when we want to attack a colony, a country, we use force. Am I right? In these days, what do we use? We use belief. If you want to attack somebody, if you want to hurt somebody, if you want to truly perish somebody, you will do the most immoral thing is to attack someone's belief. Because when a person is born, okay, this is I'm talking about a person who is born and believing something when he was already 3 years old. And when he grows up and he's at his manhood and you test his belief, you can crush a man. You can make a man or you can crush a man. Okay, everything that this world happen in both sides. There's a positive, there's a negative, there's a good and there's an evil. There's a evil and there's a you know what I mean, right? Anything good happens, something bad might follow, and as the as the bad is going to you, the good is coming. You see what I'm talking about?
I wanna push back on a very important concept.
Okay.
Babies do not have beliefs. Babies'
Baby's belief
brains.
is put in by their parents.
Yeah,
Is put in
right,
is
right.
put
So
in.
yeah, hang on just a sec. Let me finish this idea. So when a child is born, their brain is still in a radical growth of development, and they don't have object permanence, they don't have belief structures, they know nothing. When they grow into young adults, adolescents, when they reach the age of reason, when they know right from wrong, when they can start examining the world with object permanence, with value systems. Right now, the brain is in a state of development where
Okay, I
the
get you.
parents'
I
beliefs and moral judgments are then passed
I
along.
get you.
Right?
I get you. I get you. But there are a huge number of people this will be hurt really bad. There's a huge number of them when you attack their beliefs.
But some ideas are worth attacking.
Yes, I mean,
Right?
it depends on it depends on what we're talking about. Some ideas, but what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is
Let's. All
what
right.
happens.
here's an idea that I think is worth I'm going to give you two examples of ideas that are absolutely worth attacking. Number one is fascism. Fascism is the use of violence to promote political endeavors and a lot of other stuff, right? Fascism is a terrible idea that we absolutely should work diligently to prevent from gaining political power. The second idea I want to attack, and I think I do pretty consistently, is faith-based beliefs that lead to the harm of people. For example, when parents are permanently altering the genitalia of infants with no good reason, that is a form of harm. When parents are instilling fears and anxieties about heaven and hell and wrath and original sin that don't exist, that child is now in a state of mental torment, possibly for the rest of their life. This is a form of harm that's done purely through faith-based belief systems. I
I
think those are two examples of ideas that are very much worth criticism and scorn, ridicule, attack.
I heard every word you said. Now, these people are our age. I'm 45. How old are you?
I'm going to be 39 in
You're
March. I'm
39.
38.
Okay.
Yeah.
These people we're talking about are in our age group, are the most confusing, at the most confusing age of the earth, of from the beginning of time. Okay. We're in a crisis right now, but no one seem. I mean, everybody knows it, but everybody just keeps ignoring it. But I hope we're just gonna go on and living like we are now. Inflation goes up slowly. We pay a little more. Just do
Well,
what.
let's get back to attacking ideas. What do you think about my proposition that some ideas are worth attacking? Do you
Well,
agree?
well, war is used to make money, right? When a country is run out of resource, that's what they do. They use violence to conquer and to get what they want, right? So how
I
do you
really
how do you
want to
ask that to an individual? That's what
I
I'm
want to
saying.
I want to stay laser focused for a minute.
Okay.
We've been talking about giving respect to ideas. And I agree with someone that says people are worthy of respect. I mean, unless they're truly terrible, awful people, some people do not deserve respect, right? I can think of a few tyrants through history that deserve zero respect. But people are separate. Thank you. People are separate from ideas. People are not their ideas, right? People contain ideas. We have all kinds of wacky ideas, but ideas do not deserve respect. Ideas are worthy of criticism. It's important for all of us to rationally criticize. Constructive
Okay.
criticism of
Okay.
ideas is a masterful thing. That's
How
how we
about
get to
how
better
about
rules and better
how
laws and
about
better moral
how
judgments.
Okay, how about if I change the word idea to a religion? Let's say I'm a Christian or a
Sure.
Catholic or is whatever I'm religion is, and you attack my belief. That is what I meant in the first place. Is you attack my religion? That is what can break a person. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, yes, I do, and I have
that's what I
something to
truly
say on that,
mean.
but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I just finished reading a really interesting book that talked about the difference between attacking a person's religion versus attacking epistemology. And that's an important distinction to make. When you attack someone's religion, now you're attacking their livelihood, their friends, their well being, their social network, their family. Their whole worlds can be wrapped around religion. And to attack that, to criticize it, to examine it critically, can be damaging to that person's well being. So instead, it's better to examine the epistemology that led them to these, in my opinion, poor belief systems. And the number one lowest hanging fruit on the tree of criticism is faith. Faith is the concept that you can accept a belief without evidence. I mean, people have different definitions of faith, but that's the one I like to use. The belief in things without evidence. When I don't have evidence, I need faith to believe in it. Once I have evidence, then I don't need faith anymore because I have evidence. So, if
So
you
what's belief?
choose,
So what's belief then?
right, belief is the state of mind that something is true or just without evidence. When you have evidence, you have truth,
So
right? Truth is what the facts are.
basically, belief is something that you're unknown. You're believing something that's not for sure. That's a belief, right? Am I right?
That's my working definition. Yes, it is the acceptance of an idea absence evidence. When you don't have evidence, you have to believe that it's true. That's my
Holy
working
shit!
definition. Yeah.
Open my mind. Oh, okay. That was that's
Excellent.
very good. That's
Excellent. That's what I
oh
wanted
my
to
god.
do. Oh, yes.
That yes. You nailed it. On point right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can I leave you to think about this? I have
Yeah,
some more
of
guests
course.
waiting.
Yes. Yes, about time I get I get off. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Be well, my friends.
You will. You will. You as well. You as well. Yeah.
Oh, I love those moments. Those are the best.
Hey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you get my age.
Oh yeah. All right. All right. What's on your minds, my friends?
Well, you passed the big head and everything. My when I when I first met you, I knew I had you already. But when I first seen your video pop up, which wasn't too long ago, it right away it was right after what I just posted. I'm like, oh my God, this guy wants to talk to me.
I'm sorry, I can't see your name.
Oh, it's Mark Dawson. There's probably some in
Oh
your
yeah.
eyes too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
keep sending me some DMs and stuff. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm sorry. It's my old man eyes
I
can't
like
read that
Jesus.
tiny little text sometimes. All
Well,
right,
it's
Mark.
probably a simple
Yeah.
thing, but it's
Yeah.
below 1,000. So
I'm sorry.
dollars
Could you say
for
that
the
again?
phone. The Never mind, that was incomplete.
Okay. So what's
But
what's on your
anyhow,
mind? What would
that
you like to thrash me with today?
you was talking about Revelations, and I loved the way you did that. I was like, oh my God, that is awesome. And what
What?
your idea was on it just reminded me what I just posted. I'm like, what the hell is this all about? And it
Yeah.
was 1 Corinthians chapter 14, the whole
I
chapter.
I
I had
I just
posted it.
started. Yeah, I just started reading it. Okay, I'm gonna check out your post then.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you got to watch both videos. I try to get them straight, like the first one first, but when I recorded it, it was the last one first, you know,
Okay.
when it gets posted. But I think I got it. Well, I don't remember if I took it off the pen or not.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, you really got to listen to that because it's your answer to how come Revelations are the way they are. The first book anyway. Oh my God, you're so right. I was like, Jesus, he's right on what everybody thinks.
Are you talking about my argument that Revelations is the work of either someone extremely high off of hallucinogens or suffering some kind of schizophrenic episode or
Right,
something else?
and I looked that up too, and I found out it very well could have been mushrooms because they ate manna. What is manna?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look up the basic history of Egypt, they were all basically everyone was putting the blue water lily, the Egyptian blue water lily was worshipped because it's a very potent hallucinogen. They were putting it in wine and honey and everything. They were
Does the
all
seed
high
still
as
exist?
kites.
I'm a grower.
I don't know, but I would think so.
I like some pain medicine there.
Well, yes. So psychoactive compounds have been in our history since we put food in our mouth, right? We have always been putting things in our mouth. You look at any toddler, they're eating dirt, right? A toddler will put anything in their mouth. And the human history is littered with people accidentally poisoning themselves because they don't know what this plant is. Let's smoke it. Let's eat it. Let's brew it into a tea. And
Right.
sometimes it does fantastic things.
And
Like
maybe when they're
cures
studying
headaches.
yes, and maybe when they're studying it, they make a mistake and get a look-alike. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
remember that stuff.
How do you know the difference between nightshade and blueberries? Well, trial and error, I'm afraid.
Well, grow them. Grow one of each, and then you'll know the difference.
Yeah. So
Especially
when
when the birds start picking on them.
when I read ancient texts, whether it be the Bhagavad Gita, the Holy Bible, or what's the oldest one? The world is full of ancient texts, right? I have to remind myself that this is written by people who didn't have a good understanding of algebra, let alone thermodynamics or differential equations or the movements of heavenly bodies. They didn't have telescopes or microscopes or a scientific review process.
Good
You know,
point,
the
good
first
point.
the first printing press wasn't really invented until 1440. It wasn't
Good
until
point. I
after.
looked it up
Yeah,
already. What I
yeah.
found was pyramids. How did they get it so perfect? And then the tunnels, the new findings.
Trial and
How was
error.
it cut?
So
The
there
big
are a lot
heavy
of
rocks.
yeah,
I would say
there
moved.
are a lot of pyramids that were not perfect, right? For 1,000 years before the ancient pyramids of Giza, there were more ancient pyramids of oops, we fucked up.
That they built on top of it too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It took a long time for humans to figure out the equations to get the cutting of the stone and the moving of the stone just right. It wasn't
Yeah, how'd they
just
do that? How?
yeah, trial and error.
Oh, and that's just the nature of things.
Yeah, of course it's the nature of things.
And
We
it's a
don't
never
just
ending job,
we don't
just
just
like mom.
know how to send someone to the moon. We start shooting rockets into the atmosphere
Oh
and some
yeah,
of them fail.
that's what that one thing was you was talking about. I was thinking terraform. Remember the first book of Genesis?
Yeah.
It explains terraform to the T. Terraforming.
Welcome back,
You've entered
Chelsea.
my area.
Yes. Chelsea is let's just say horny when it comes to Egypt.
You bitch. I mean, he's not wrong. So it
Let's
is.
talk about oh,
It's
sorry, go ahead.
it's currently illegal in most countries to sell the blue water lily, because of its potency. Um,
What'd you do?
oh yeah, we totally broke the last live, girl. One of the girls that I was in the last live with just popped in. She's like, "We broke the last live." Yeah, knowledge hurts people's feelings. It
Yeah,
does
I
horribly.
watched about 5 minutes of that and I was out. It was just too much yelling.
Oh yeah, way
I
too
can't
much.
do
I
it.
know. There is about 100 pyramids in Egypt, and only three are perfect, or what quote unquote you would call perfect. I mean, there
Yeah.
are. I mean, the rectangle pyramid, the weird one that's curved. I forgot what they call it, but it like rounds off at the top, and then they were like, "Oops, finish." I mean, there are several that are, I mean, wacky and wild, and they genuinely were. They were really trying really hard to get perfection, but it took a long time. About maybe about 1,000 years, I would say. About 6 generations. I'm thinking really hard. Yeah, about 1,000 years and about 6 generations of builders.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Earlier you were talking about how Genesis is a is somehow talking about terraforming. But when you look at Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2, the order of operations is different. So I don't know how you can examine Genesis as anything other than more poetic language to try to describe what
Okay.
happens at the beginning
Uh,
of time,
right.
but
Well, if
it's
you
not
read
based in
on, yes.
reality.
Yes, if you read on, it gets complicated. Now, the first verse is talking about terraforming, the way I see it. I mean, our purpose is to garden and have plants and whatever plants are used for.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Bird food, for one.
Do you think Adam and Eve were literally the first people on Earth, or is that just a allegory?
That's kind of complicated. I don't know the answer. But if there was a
Interesting.
terraform, of course it would be some sort of DNA with the clay, because what are we? What is the elements in our skin, body, organs?
Yeah,
It
it's all
has to be
kinds of
something
stuff.
dense to start with. Yeah.
Well, it can our genetic makeup. Hold on, let's look it up. Hello,
Oh,
Google.
you'd be surprised. I
What's the
actually did.
search word for this?
Thank you.
List of all elements
I got me a son
in
here.
human body.
86.
Ooh, we have pictures. All right. Oxygen, 65%. Carbon, 18%. Hydrogen,
And clay?
9.5. Nitrogen, 3.2. Calcium, 1.5. Phosphorus, 1.2%. Potassium, 0.4%. Sulfur, 0.2%. Sodium, 0.2%. Chlorine, 0.2%. Magnesium, 0.1%. And everything else is less than 1%. So if you can look at the genetic makeup of clay, and if it
Yeah.
matches perfectly with that, then you might have an argument to make. But clay does not contain the same molecular, you know, breakdown of what we're made out of.
So
So
one
try
Bible
again.
said clay, the other one said dust.
Yeah,
You
but I
can't
don't
argue with
believe.
dust. You can't argue with dust.
Well, what is dust? What is dust made out of?
It's everything. It's dried up with no water.
All right, stardust. Yeah, I admit. We are made out of stardust. But we have to be careful with our language, right? It's not sufficient for you to say that we're made out of dust or clay and me to just believe you. I need more than just claims in a Iron Age book.
We don't know yet.
But we do
And
know.
it's not the end of times, I guess, because when the end of times does come, we're going to know. And of course, somebody's going to tell somebody who's going to make the end of times. That makes sense.
How do we
It
not
makes
know
sense.
that a book is true? How do we know that things like Harry Potter or the Bhagavad Gita, how do we know that these books aren't 100% true? How do you know that things like the Quran, like you, how do you know and not believe in the Quran? Why don't you believe in the Quran? I was asking Mark. He walked away.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. Thanks for playing. Someone said GPS relies on math formula that takes time dilation into consideration. Right. So until we understood quantum mechanics, we couldn't use Newtonian mechanics or physics to navigate using GPS satellites. Because they're so far away, the satellite has to account for the time dilation between sending and receiving the signals. And even though it's really fast, it can shift the answer by hundreds, if not thousands of feet because satellites are really far away. And if you want to get to the accuracy of within a meter or so, then you need atomic clocks that are using a radioactive radioactive decay of of a particle that is decaying at a very specifically consistent known rate of decay and judge a clock off of that so that we know exactly how long it took to send and receive the signal, thus giving us the high degree of accuracy that we have in our GPS navigation systems today. Figure that one out, Noah.
Actually, I already did, and it's too deep.
Yeah. All right.
I think they charge money for that one.
And yeah, you can go to Walmart and buy a GPS for less than $100 now. It's nuts.
What is
It's
that?
nuts.
Constructive thinking, trigonometry?
I excelled at trigonometry. I was pretty good at it. That
Oh, wow.
and Boolean algebra, it just came
I got more to
naturally.
learn than that. I was like, trigonometry, I don't even want to do no tricks.
No, trig was easy because I was good at what's when you're doing shapes and angles and stuff. Geometric. I
Algebra.
can't remember.
Geometry.
Geometry. I was good at geometry,
You
but
good,
no.
bro? You good?
Yeah. It's been a long time. But
I
once
know
we got
algebra
into
has shapes where they have the numbers with them.
when I was getting into algebra
In
3,
the books, anyway.
not
basic.
good. No bueno. Differential equations, no bueno. I was not good at that thing. Anyway.
But anyhow, terraforming.
Yes, terraforming.
We're planning on doing it to Mars. Is that not true?
I mean, they want to, but I think it would be much more valuable to try and terraform Earth and make Earth more livable.
That kind of makes me wonder if Mercury at one time wasn't Earth, and there's 3 other times, and this is the 3rd time.
Wait, huh?
Nope. So once upon a time.
So suppose that it was life
Long
on
ago.
Mercury.
All right. Check this out, Batman.
And the sun got bigger. We terraformed the next planet out. And we're working on Mars now, so it makes sense.
So once upon a time, there was a giant gas cloud, and through a very long process of gravitational pull, a bunch of hydrogen just kind of came together and it became our sun. And then the rest of the gas, all of the rocks and hydrogen and oxygen and stardust, everything that makes up the rest of our solar system started to clump together too. And through a
Yes.
very long process of gravitational forces and rotation around this star, our sun that we call Sol, the planets came into existence. All about the same time. They all formed like when you consider the entire age of the universe, they all just snapped into existence within a few hours if you consider the entire length of time.
Well, how do you figure that? That's good. Did you read that somewhere?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's tons of
Oh, I thought you
mathematical
were thinking
models
that,
out
yeah.
there. Oh
I was
yeah.
just gonna say,
Oh,
these are
wow.
things we know. We already know this stuff.
I'm not just
know for
pulling it
sure.
out of my bum. Right.
Well,
So,
you know what the Bible says about that is always has been, always will be.
Right, but here's the problem with the Bible is that we can take all the way,
That's just
trace
as
it
deep
all
as
the way
any
back
of
to
it.
the writers. Hold up. We can trace it all the way back to the writers and the people that were there. And we can go all the way back and we can see that the people that were there in that time did not say those things.
So we could say hydrogen is the ruler.
but let's
He missed.
how about
he
this
missed
for an
it.
idea?
He missed
Yeah,
it.
how about this for an idea? Let's get away from the idea of rulers, gods,
Right.
kings,
I mean,
creators.
the rule of mathematics anyway. I mean, if you think about chemistry.
Well, all right, here we go. The fundamental forces of nature are the strong and weak nuclear force, gravity, and electromagnetism. That's about it. So if you want to consider those the 4 horsemen of existence, fine. But now you can start to dive into the process of how the strong nuclear force works, how the weak nuclear force works, how gravity behaves in different velocities and gravitational wells, how electromagnetism works. Like these are
Superconductors has got me
these,
puzzled.
yeah. Well, let's not get into it. I can nerd out for an hour about
But that's
semiconductors, but
defying gravity. They've been doing that since South Africa, 1st century. Friday was named after that queen.
Okay.
Well, I'm just
Anyway,
saying the religions will tell you something, and it's all written. It's history. I mean, what other books exist
all right, let me ask you a radical question.
from ancient times?
Do you
Is there
think that
any
it's an
ancient books that existed other than religion?
yeah, oldest
Wow, I want them.
books
Where they
in
at?
the world.
The oldest book in the world has nothing to do with religion, actually.
The
That's what I
Epic
was
of
thinking.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
Yep.
good idea.
Yeah,
I was just
I'm
gonna
glad
Homer.
I
say.
was
Homer,
thinking
the
of it.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
And that's why
I
I
mean,
like you. You bring out the best of me.
hey, you, my friend, have Google in your pocket. You have a cell phone, you have Google in your pocket.
I know. I'm overwhelmed. My cup is overflowing with what they call it, trash can juice.
Trash can what?
Juice, like what my coffee tasted like this morning
Oh.
with extra kitty litter.
just just remember that everything you read on the internet is true. Nobody's lying to you. Believe everything. I'm joking, of course,
First
but
Corinthians, you're right. It does say that, or does it?
all right. I promise you this. I'm going to read First Corinthians chapter 14.
Oh my
I'll
God,
probably
hundreds of
produce a video
scriptures.
for you, so stay tuned. I've got
Yeah,
some more guests waiting, so please share your final
you know,
thought.
you're my time saver.
Ah, well, I do what I
I'm
can.
after something. Oh, I forgot I was hooked on cigarettes.
What?
I was hooked on growing my own tobacco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
nicotine. Who can't beat that?
A lot of people beat nicotine addiction every day.
Even when they know they're going to die anyway.
A lot of people are just pre-contemplation, right? So there's a mental state that a lot of people don't think about because they've never thought about it before. It's called pre-contemplation. Like the last guest, when I described something that opened his mind, he hadn't thought of it that way. It's not that he's not capable of thinking about it. It's just that people are very often in a pre-contemplative state. They haven't taken the time to think about it in a different way, a different angle, right? And when you can point that out, now you're introducing a new form of thought, a new form of rationality, and that can be the difference between remaining an alcoholic until you die, remaining a person that's addicted to nicotine until you expire, or you can think about it in a new way and overcome these addictions or overcome these
Yeah, but
faith-based beliefs.
Can I tell a
how
story?
old are you? Can you teach an old dog new tricks?
This is the thing I want to
Sometimes.
tell. This is the thing I want to tell a story real quick. My 99
You know, they didn't have this
year old.
information
Wait,
when we
wait,
were
hold on.
young, and we developed a way to overcome,
My
but we still
99
yet
year
got to
old
die.
grandfather, my 99-year-old great
That's what
grandfather,
gets me. I'm
quit
like,
smoking in the last year of his life. You can't smoke on TikTok. You'll get banned.
I
Oh yeah.
know they're not as picky anymore. I mean, they let you
Uh,
hide it.
No, you can't. If you light up, you just boom. All right, so my 99-year-old grandfather, who smoked cigars his entire life, like, and this is what the man was known for, okay? Like, they talked about him, like, because, like, he smelled like cigar, and his car smelled like cigar, and his house smelled like cigar, and it was like a thing. And he was an old hippie and didn't believe in deodorant. It was like a whole thing. And in the last year of his life, he quit smoking to everyone's like freaking astonishment. He's like, "Did you know that it was bad for you?" And we were all like, "Yeah, like yes, we know." And he died at 99, and he was like one of the like meanest, crotchetiest, like aggressive old people you would ever meet. Like the man broke his hip and was like, "Don't help me." Like lying in a parking lot somewhere. Like, nope,
oh man.
nope. I have a really good slow speed car chase story for you sometime, but it's not for now. I can't.
Okay. I didn't want to kick you, but Chelsea's right. I don't want to risk, having the TikTok shut down. Anyway, thank you for your thoughts. Come back again sometime. I've got another guest waiting, so let's bring him in now.
Hey, you guys.
Hello, our nerdy friend. How are you today?
Hey.
Nerdy as ever. I wanted to ask you guys to go farther into detail because actually the reason that Chelsea and I got kicked, or the live ended, we didn't get kicked, but was because things were getting a little heated. We were talking about like basically the world after money, like the system changing and like
It
finally
got
getting it
turned into a
right.
zombie apocalypse story, and
Yeah.
he turned into an oligarch that decided that he was going to build his own civilization and f everyone else. And I was like, no,
Right.
no, no,
And we were like, okay, but what about after that? Like,
we're
that's
trying to
what
get to
we're
the
trying to
after
get
that,
to.
yeah, like after it, my guy, after that. And he was like,
And he's
nope,
like,
I'm gonna rule the world. We're like, okay.
he just thought, like, because he said that he was going to make a commune and, like, subjugate everyone, that was, like, the end of the story. Like, who ends a story with that? So I wanted to hear your guys's, like, I know you guys have been thinking a lot about it. Like, what do you think should happen? How should we go about basically systematically changing every single part of the government that does not serve us or is working to just help a small number of people while masses suffer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no pressure, huh?
Yeah. What's your plan? Tell me now.
Okay. We're still working it out. Chelsea and I are getting a lot of words on pages, and we're working it out. We've got a long way to go. Got a long road to hoe. But here's the answer in a nutshell. It takes a radical paradigm shift in our cognition, basically. We have to consciously change our behavior, and that's no easy task. So how do you do that? Well, we have to start thinking about rules, laws, and regulations that force us to change our cognition. And then eventually, it might be possible to overcome these cognitive shortcomings through attrition, if that makes sense. So for example, there has to be a transition period to go from a economy that is based on money, commoditizing our time, turning our hours into dollars, and then trading those dollars for goods. We have to transition out of that, and that's a long, painful process. And the things like that, it would. All right, here's some examples of things that would look like that transition period. One, you start
Fluffy
deleting.
cloud, bro. Deep
Yeah,
breath. Fluffy
you
cloud,
you
deep breath.
legally delete billionaires through the taxation process. Every
Yes.
dollar over a certain dollar, right? They are no longer allowed to be billionaires because billionaires destabilize economies. You also take, instead of just individuals, you look at corporations, giant conglomerates that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And you basically say you can't expand anymore. Every ounce of profit that you make is now going to go into the collective pot that gets redistributed evenly. I was just looking up the numbers last night. When you take the net average value of Americans, it's over $750,000. But that number is skewed because now you're including the super billionaires like Bezos and Gates and etc. But when you take the median, the average value, well, we're talking wealth in dollars of the average person in America, it's around $121,000. So if we were to redistribute all of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and like the musketeer and redistribute evenly in America, everyone would be worth 750,000 some odd dollars. But that means some people's value would go down and most people's wealth and value would go up. So then you have to ask the question, if your wealth is going to decrease, is the worlds that you're living in better? My argument is yes. When you're not tripping over homeless people in the street, your world is better, even though your personal wealth may be less. Anyway, all right, so we're just getting into the numbers now. How do we radically transition from this capitalistic hellscape of war and consumerism into a more egalitarian, let's just say, communist utopia? We have to examine how we did it in the past. When we as a species exited the hunter-gatherer phase into the agrarian phase, you know, the oh, camera. when we started building our very first cities, what was the name of it? Chatulu
Oh, yo,
Tacofan.
I'm not even gonna. Absolutely not.
Look it up. It's the oldest city in Turkey, 9,000 years old. I can't remember the name of it. But what the archaeologists discovered is that all of the inhabitants had about the same amount of living space, resources, utilities. They were in it together. There were no kings, there were no priests, there was no radical distribution of wealth, right? It was only after the agricultural revolution that people started hoarding food, wealth, salt, etc. So, the solution, easy peasy, ready? Make greed against the law. Cancel greed. Make a excess hoarding of wealth not acceptable. And that automatically makes everyone more on the same playing field. We also have to radically consider our population growth. And this is a really slippery slope to get into because
no,
yeah,
bro,
deep breath.
You can't say this. You can't say it on live.
I'm going to say it in very
Carefully toned.
yes, I'm going to use language that shouldn't
Gentle.
get us in trouble.
Gentle.
You cannot have infinite growth on a finite planet, right? So we have to consider forms of contraception that prevent more people from coming into the world, because we certainly don't want to talk about people forcibly exited, right? So let's consider things like male birth control. Why is basically all of the responsibility for child's procreation on those that contain uteruses, while we're ignoring half of the problem? Half. It takes two to tango, right? So I'm talking about radical solutions like vasectomies at a certain age, regardless of whether or not you want it. All right. What about? Again, I don't want to tip my hands too much, but let's think about these things in radical ways, radical solutions, because if we do not practice these radical solutions, we are going to cook ourselves out of existence. The history of the world is a graveyard of species. 99.9% of all the species that ever existed are no longer. And we are about to walk down the same path. We are figuratively the frog in the pot of water that is about to boil. We're about to cook ourselves out of existence. And until we recognize that as the catastrophic hard stop to our existence that it is, then we will just choose to ignore it and go on turning up the temperature. So to terraform, like you were saying earlier, if we're going to spend a tremendous amount of effort terraforming some other planet while ignoring the current planet that we exist in, then we are doomed to failure. Doomed.
Do you guys
Doomed.
use like do you guys use like a Discord or anything to when you're making your Lisa photos or when you're talking about this stuff, like Do you guys want to like send me a link or something?
Yes, we'll send you a link, my friend.
So
Of course we do.
so my thoughts about how to like kick our society kind of into this brave new world
Radical paradigm shift, yeah.
is like, for one, holding the current system accountable for the things that it says are part of its purpose that it's failing at, like separation of church and state. I feel like is like bare minimum. We have to achieve that successfully in order for things to start to come together. I think it's the very first step, is to hold our current government accountable in the ways that it's failing at doing what it already promises. And then the other parts, like kind of tangentially and happening at the same time, I think that we're gonna have capitalism for a while. So in addition to like my idea would get rid of billionaires to a certain extent as well, but it's basically like it depends on masses of people changing the way that they operate in like a consumer type way. Like it means we have to band together small businesses and have, like you were talking about before, like having the employees own the business instead of having like one CEO. You can have someone who's like the speaker of your organization. I'm so sorry. But ultimately, that
How
person.
dare you breathe and stuff.
Sorry.
How dare you, human?
I have this weird cough because I stopped smoking like 5 weeks ago, and it just randomly kind of like my. Oh,
Yay.
thank you.
I love quitters. I love quitters. Good for you.
Thank you. I can breathe better when I walk up the stairs now. I live on the 3rd floor, and I'm always
Yo,
huffing and
girl.
puffing when I get to the top. But
Has your taste changed? I don't mean to derail you, but that's something I often hear, that your taste buds come back.
I mean, I think I can taste more for sure. Like, I think like when you smoke, you taste it all the time. Even after you brush your teeth, it's not all the way gone. Like it's still in your esophagus, for example. So just breathing, you can taste it again. So it definitely has opened up the range of flavors more.
Well, stay the path. I love quitters. Good for you.
Do you want to
Congrats.
hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in a kitchen somewhere cooking, and I went to go make something, and I tasted so wrong. And I looked at her, and I was like, "Yeah, I just think it needs a little bit more salt, a little bit more garlic." And she's like, "Are you a smoker?" And I was like, as if like I couldn't taste, like as if I couldn't taste anything, and I was like, "No." Like, how dare you? I was so mad. But she like
Well,
looked
I've
me right in the
noticed
face.
that I love onion and garlic, but I've noticed that I don't need as much this past couple weeks as I did before. I don't know why I'm eating croutons right now. Like I'm too lazy to cook something right now. I'm supposed to be doing work, and I'm also on TikTok and whatnot. So I'm just like eating croutons, and they're like really strong. Like they're like a good snack, but like I did not realize how potent they were.
I'm sorry, I gotta step away for just a minute, but please keep the show going. I will be right back.
Change the box size real quick.
Oh yeah.
If it's okay, I'd love to go back to that topic we were talking about, like taking over the world, like in a positive way.
Bring it, girl.
My big goal, like I mean, as you can tell from like my username, potentially CEO is at the end of it. My whole business is supposed to be to help people start businesses, whether they need management or money or whatever, like just connect them to other people who can actually move their business forward. But the idea is that in order for me to help you, you have to have kind of like an altruistic value built into your business plan. Like if you're a restaurant, you have to have a plan for like basically to have less waste than another restaurant, or like give food away to the homeless, like through vouchers at like the local shelters or whatever. Like it has to be a part of your business plan that you're you have a higher purpose, not specifically like God higher purpose, but like for society.
No, yeah.
And my thought is that capitalism isn't just going to go away. We just need to hold people more accountable. The people who are in a position to become billionaires, we should be supporting these like CEOs and businesses or whatever who actually care. They want to give you the great deal. They want to give you the innovation or the convenience or whatever it is that they're offering. They want to give you the best slice of za that you've ever tasted.
Yeah.
But they also have to do it in a way that is good for the community, or supports people who need it. And my thought is like, if like say, you know, we start a website or something where like a bunch of businesses can get their names out there and find partners that are also in business that can actually solve their problems, then masses of small businesses can come together and be equal to like one large corporation. And my thought is that we have to be more responsible about how we participate in the economy and support businesses that are supporting community. That's the idea.
Why can't we go back to trading? Because like I just saw this really cool website, and I think I'll send you the TikTok later. I think I sent it to Brian, where he created this whole website where this girl traded her focaccia bread for a printer, and he's like, I want the world to go back to that. Commercialism is stupid, and I want to fix the world. But why can't we go back to why can't we go back to trading? Why can't we go back to why do people need to seek wealth? Why do people need to think that that's a form of happiness? We've already proven that it isn't.
I think
Like we've already proven
reason,
that it hasn't. It's only caused grief.
I think part of the reason is that our economy is built on like business to business wholesaling, for example. Like you can't just, as an individual person, go buy an apple like from the big warehouse where all the apples are being stored. Like you can go directly to the farm, or you can go to like a farmer's market. But like as soon as you need something that isn't grown in your neighborhood or created in your neighborhood, in order to get it, you have to go through wholesalers, and the only people who can go to wholesalers are businesses. And so then you have to be able to buy 1,000,000 of them or like 1,000 of them in order to buy it at all. And so it's not conducive to trading, because if you can get everything on Amazon, but you're trying to buy from wholesalers, which Amazon is basically a wholesaler, you can't undercut them when they are your source of raw material. They are the source of where you're going to buy it in the first place. So you can't undercut them. And so unless you have a trade, unless you have something that can't be duplicated and like sold on Amazon, the competition is just so too powerful to get in on that. And so I think like we need to go back to taxing, you know, the rich, taxing, like we need to tax people a little bit more equally, like tax the billionaires at the same percentages as we're taxing the lower class.
We gotta tax the billionaires straight out of existence.
I think so too. I mean, I think if you make if you make a couple $1 billion, that next dollar that you make should be billions of times harder to make than the first one, so that no one person can make that disproportionate amount of money. Because
Right.
if you look at how fast a billionaire made the average income, like if you like $40,000, most people in America make less than 40,000. A few more than that or a few less than that make 60, etc. So if you take a billionaire and try to figure out how long it takes them to make $40,000 or $60,000, it's like 7 minutes or something. It's like within the very first day of the year, they've already made more
That's so hurtful.
than
And
any
now-
individual person will make the whole rest of the year.
I think if you
And they were probably asleep too. Like they didn't even work. they were asleep during that 7 minutes and they still made all that money.
Right. So
That's hurtful.
we have to ask how this became possible, and it always comes down to greed, and more accurately, the influence of money in politics. We have legalized bribery. There should be no lobbyists in Congress, period. But there are.
Agreed, for sure.
So how do we get them out? Well, you have to pass legislation that makes it illegal to have super PACs and lobbyists taking out Congress people to lunch and the whole circus of corruption. So how do we end that? How do we end that? Well, I'm so afraid that what's the word of it when you legislate politics, the form of politics that we use, our electoral politics isn't working anymore. It's radically broken because of this. It has broken itself. The will of the people, the will of the voters, the electorate, are never heard. Their desire to what laws will be passed it's basically noise, right? We've seen public opinion on legislation versus special interest group opinion on legislation, and it so heavily favors the special interest groups that the billionaires have literally legalized the bribery system for our system to be broken. And I don't think that we can legislate ourselves out of that without some kind of radical action. For example, a general strike with clear goals, ends, Citizens United, get money out of politics, bring back the fairness doctrine. There are so many low-hanging fruit of implement UBI, implement ranked choice voting. Let's go to a parliamentary system. We don't have to stick with this representative democracy. Who says we do? We can radically change the Constitution if we want. It's been amended many times. Or we could, we could write a whole new one, a whole new charter of operations. But how do we get there?
Do you think that there's a way within our current system that we could vote to change to a direct voting? Like, could there be a bill proposed that Congress or the Senate
would never
votes
pass.
on?
No,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right, until we get rid of the Electoral College, it ends gerrymandering the way we know it. Get rid of money in politics, end Citizens United. Money is not speech, my friends. These are the jail bars that we're rattling right now. We're stuck behind these jail bars. And if we can only remove a few of them, maybe we could pass some kind of legislation that would... I like the idea of direct democracy. With our blockchain technology and information technology, we could safely have a blockchain system of voting that allows all of the citizens of a certain age or eligibility to vote on legislation that's written by the people. We could have an open source form of legislation.
I mean,
And
if it's safe enough to do banking and have your medical
Right.
records and stuff online, it's safe enough to vote online. And I think we could vote daily, honestly. Like, if they don't get a certain amount of the vote, then the bill has to be revised. And if we get a certain amount of the vote, then it passes. And it can still be changed. I think we could vote with our phones. You could get an email or whatever that says, hey, today's choices are published.
Yeah.
Or whatever, come vote on these bills. And anyone who wants to vote could vote on every single issue.
But here's the thing, the popular thing is not necessarily what is good for the planet.
True. That is a major factor that needs to be addressed because a lot of people are very dumb.
That's another reason why separation of church and state is step one to me.
Education. Education is the answer. An
sure.
educated populace can vote for the right thing. It can make the popular thing the right choice or the better choice. Again, what's the difference between right and wrong? Depends who you ask, right? It's all subjective at the end of the day. So how do we conduct ourselves in a manner that does not lead to our immediate destruction? The pressure is on. That's the critical thing that everyone needs to start sounding the alarm bell. Check it out. I bought this when I went to Philadelphia. It's the Philadelphia Liberty Bell. We need to sound the alarm bell. The alarm bells are ringing. The pressure's on. The pot is about to boil. Now or never, literally, now or never is the time. Let's actually organize. I don't want to speak before I should, but I know that there is a general strike being organized for the beginning of April. I heard the original demands, end Citizens United, ranked choice voting. There were some other really big key points that I favor, right? And I have never really been in favor of general strikes because the demands aren't clear. It's just, oh, let's just strike to strike. Well, that's not useful. When unions strike, they have clear demands. That's why they're effective. As a species, as a culture, as a nation, we need to clearly define our demands. End ranked choice voting. Implement ranked choice voting. End Citizens United. Redistribute the wealth. Tax billionaires out of existence. Stabilize your economy. Remember this, folks, in case you're against me on this. Billionaires are a destructive force. They destabilize the economy. When so much wealth is hoarded in such a concentrated number of people, they can call the shots. Their hands are on the lever of power. And all of our little hands collectively are down at the bottom of the lever going, oh, can I have a turn? No. We need to remove the billionaires. We have to stabilize our economy, stabilize our system of governance. Because right now the pot is about to boil.
My whole mastermind goal or whatever for my business is to get rid of lobbyists and to get rid of billionaires through consumerism and through capitalism, using it to vote for sure, we need laundry soap, but let's support a company that sells laundry soap that also supports the well-being of the planet. And if we can support businesses that are owned by their employees and that care about the same things that we do, and they're not lobbying to make laws benefit them, they're just existing within the system we already have, I feel like that would help to eliminate some of our reliance, economically, on these mega corporations and monopolies. If we, on a bit from a business point of view, if small businesses can have the resources they need to compete, and they also are owned by people, then I think that would put a lot of pressure on corporations to have a cause. For example, Amazon, for example, got a lot of kickback about how much their CEO was making, and then they started Amazon Smile. So even though a lot of people don't know about it, if you type smile before Amazon, then every purchase you make, a portion of it goes to the cause that you want. A lot of people don't know about it, but the whole reason that Amazon Smile exists is because Amazon was getting a lot of crap because they monopolized. All the university bookstores went out of business. A whole bunch of people went out of business. Amazon gives you access to any market that you want to buy a product from. And this was a way for them to basically claim that they care and minimize the fact that their CEO makes so much money. Someone says
Amazon
they're
donates 0.5% of price of eligible purchases. Right? So they're basically just giving 0.5% of the price to eligible purchases.
It's less than tax. In most places, the tax that somebody pays is more significant on their purchase than the amount that's donated.
In big bold letters, it has 400 million donated to U.S. charities. It sounds like a lot, but guess what? It's pocket lint. 400
That's jack
million.
Shit.
That's nothing.
That is shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my theory is that billionaires need to go away, monopolies need to go away. It cannot be a thing to own that much of the world's supply. That cannot exist.
I think if
So
Hey,
billionaires were
sorry.
taxed like that, that would also force them to find a way to use that all that extra money they're giving to their CEOs. It would force them to put it somewhere else, and I think it would help them to be a little bit more accountable for how the profits are.
part of the reason why Amazon is so successful is because they put all of our shopping needs, most of our shopping needs, in our pocket, right? Just click and it arrives. And that is hugely convenient. The efficiency factor is astronomical. And sometimes efficiency, high efficiency, is a terrible thing. Let me give you an example. I'm not entirely sure this is the case, but at one point in my past, I learned that India, the country of India, has an interesting anti-monopoly law that prevents any one person or family from owning more than 5 stores of any chain. And again, I might be wrong on the details, but it's a great concept nonetheless. So let's consider for a minute, Jeff Bezos can still own Amazon.com, but he can only own up to the equivalent of 5 businesses, like 5 branches, 5 Denny's, 5 Roadhouse Blues, 5 Targets, right? Think of how many Targets there are in the world. The stores, the Target shopping center. You can only operate up to 5, and that's it. That's your whole business portfolio. And then someone else, Joe Schmo, he also owns Amazon, but he can only own 5 of the stores. This is just a conceptual way to spread the wealth around by forcing inefficiency in a system. And that is a useful idea, a useful concept. You prevent the monopolization of certain industries. Because shopping for general goods becomes a natural monopoly. Let's talk for a minute about the concept of natural monopolies. Your fire department in your town or city is a version of a natural monopoly. The water that comes to your home, if you pay for it, natural monopoly. The cable internet. You're not shopping multiple companies for internet. You're not using Roadrunner one day and Time Warner another day and Comcast another day, right? These are natural monopolies that make it more efficient to have the internet tubes come to your house or have Amazon deliver packages to your business, your home. Natural monopolies have to be regulated in a radically different way because they become monopolies. They can become a destructive, disruptive force in a healthy economy.
Well, with COVID, there were a lot of those natural monopolies that were forced to do away with their like cancellation policies. Like if it like utility companies, phone companies, they were forced to leave accounts open that were past due because during the pandemic, like there were a lot of people who couldn't afford to pay, to keep their electricity on, but electricity at this point is kind of like a human right. Like it's necessary to survive. I don't see why we couldn't implement like similar legislation on natural monopolies to protect people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are the kind of radical shifts that have to happen if we're going to ever reach Star Trek. Why even dream about these changes if we don't have goals? I think survival is a good goal, but I also want to get to Star Trek. I want to push a button and say, computer, Earl Grey tea, hot, and it just materializes.
Okay, thinking way too small, my man, okay? I want buttered lobster stuffed. Let's go. You're way too small, bro. Earl Grey tea, what the hell?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Beam me up, Scotty. Yeah, let's get to those strange new worlds and seek out new life and new civilizations. I want to get there, but we have to survive first. We are the frog in the boiling pot, and we're about to turn the heat up to, well, heat's already going up.
Why is an interesting lad jumping in here? Because he has a lot to say. As long as he can, like, be part of the conversation and like not interrupt, he should like jump in here. I think he has
Yeah,
some opposing views.
if someone wants to have constructive criticism, then you can come in the box. I typically don't like shouting matches, and when there's more than 3 or 4 people in the chat, it's mostly because of the delay. There's that half-second delay to, it's up to 3 or 4 seconds sometimes. When we start talking over each other and no one knows who's talking first or whose turn it is, and it just gets muddled. And that's what I try to avoid. But yeah, if we want to be civil, we can try. But no one else is requesting, so request if you wish. Yeah, natural monopolies, inefficiency is a good thing.
I think rent should be applied to our credit report. There are some businesses, I think you have to pay for most of them, but who they basically keep
I think
track
this
of every
might
time
be
your rent
best,
is
even
paid
though
on
I'm good
time.
looking.
Yeah, hello, welcome. Sorry, what did you say? And it looks like you're lagging.
Hello, and thank you.
I don't think your internet's healthy enough.
Who, me?
Yeah, I just see the little spinning circles like you're lagging.
Yeah, it's only like a $60 deal. The money is essence,
Well, I can hear
and
you now all
I'm
right. So
busy
go ahead.
too.
What's on your mind?
Yeah,
Yeah, all good.
yeah.
All
It's like
good.
a busy internet. Yeah. I'm way out in the middle
Budapest
of
is...
nowhere, actually, and that might have something to do with it.
I'm going to bring Budapest in too, because I know he has some good stuff to
Well,
say.
I ain't gonna say nowhere. Everybody's something.
Live off the grid. Hi, welcome. What's up, Budapest?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good. Any
Nada,
thoughts?
just hanging
Hi,
out,
lady. She's looking good in these pictures.
dreading going outside. Yeah, I don't know what our topic is
And
today.
I'm not really a big old
Here,
man.
hold
I'm
tight.
just considering the subject.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Budapest, can you mute yourself, please, when you're not speaking, because you've got a lot of background noise.
It's not Budapest. I think it's Mark. It's just very, very static.
No, it was Buddha. Mark, you're very quiet, so I want to give Mark a chance to share what's on his mind. So please go ahead.
Okay. We're talking about rich people, right? What did we support? How did they get rich? And how are we doing?
Do you have a point, or are you just asking
Well, the point is, what
rhetorical
are we
questions?
supporting with the money you make?
All right, let me put it this way, Mark. We're talking about solutions today. I want to know what's on your mind for how do we unfuck the system. So please,
Oh, yeah.
unfuck the system, Mark.
Well, I can break it down like you do, and that's what I like about you. You really break things down. If the black man told me anything, I was the king of the breakdown.
Okay.
Okay, now, what's the question?
All right, last chance, Mark. I'm going to make room for someone else unless you give me some solutions.
I understand you're busy.
What's like your number one or number two most important solution to fix the problem that we're in? How do we get out of this mess?
Everything natural. Feed the birds.
Okay, feed the birds. Cool.
Support the birds.
Support the birds. Cool. What else you got?
Well, they grow gardens. They support the bees. You know, the birds, you can't have them without the bees. And it's really sexual, but not really inappropriate.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. I love you. We'll talk again. Oh my goodness. Where's the button?
Mark's great.
Mark's great. Feed the birds. No
So
hard
is my,
feelings.
do I sound okay? Or do you have a
Much
lot
better,
of feedback
thank
from
you.
me?
No, much better, thank you. What's on your minds, Buddha?
Okay. Nothing particular. So we're talking about unfucking the system. I totally just was on the TikTok and saw you were on, and then you said no one's requesting, so I requested.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. We've been
I
talking a
still
little bit
think that it's
about.
a slow. Okay, so
Like,
go ahead. I know there's a delay.
yeah.
Okay, so um, I sounds like from the very little bit of context of feeding birds I've gotten, it sounds like we're talking about how like rich people, the 1% control the whole world, and it's fucking everyone. Is that right?
Kind of.
Yeah, I'm afraid there is like a 2 seconds delay. Can you drop out and I'll bring you right back in? Maybe reset TikTok.
That happened to me earlier. It was awful.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wait. We're gonna give Mark about 10 seconds to get back in. Um,
It's not Mark
Chelsea,
Budapest.
Budapest. I'm sorry. What's your name? I'm sorry. What's your name? Third
Something
guest.
called the
I'm
CEO.
You can just call me
see
Les.
Les.
Les. Okay. Thank you, Les. Um, I think he's back already. No.
Buddha.
Gringo Willie. Shall we bring in Gringo Willie? Maybe they've got some solutions.
Do it.
Good afternoon.
Good
Hello
afternoon.
there. How are you?
We are
Hi,
great.
Doc.
I'll wait for Buddha to speak first.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Oh,
Hi.
Les disappeared.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, count to three. 1, 2, 3. What did you hear last?
1, 2, 3. I heard.
Okay, so
It
we've got
sounds
about a
great for me.
second's delay. That's okay. Go ahead. Yeah, what's on your mind?
Okay, I mean, I have no things on my mind. I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before. Ironically, I had this exact conversation with my son last night, but I don't feel like I can say that publicly because it's just terrible. It makes me into a real monster. But I don't know, I don't know, man, because we were talking about it on like a global scale, right? Because we can hypothesize all these ways to fix America, right? But is that so are we talking about fixing America, or are we talking about fixing the whole world? Because I feel like those are different things.
I'm
The whole
talking about
world. I see Chelsea
survivability.
over there.
Like we're the frogs in the proverbial pot of water, and it's about to boil. We're on our way out, right? We're talking sixth mass extinction level kind of event. How do we prevent ourselves
Yeah.
from being ejected from the planet? We need paradigm shift level
Oh,
answers. And yes, it does happen on a granular level too. So if you've got some granular topics you want to dig into, but I'm looking for how do we survive on this planet that's about to shake us off like a bad case of fleas.
so are we talking about like our contribution to this destruction, like global warming, carbon emissions, etc.?
Well, what's on your minds? How do we survive?
Well, I mean, I feel okay.
Yeah,
I mean, man,
not
this
easy,
is
is it?
like I feel like this is a loaded question, and I need more like. I mean, I need more specifics. Let's go with global warming style carbon emissions. We're clear cutting this planet and like wiping everything out, right? So it's got to stop, like a hard stop, right? Not a little bit. It's not that we need to diminish it. It's that we need to hard stop universally across the board, right? Dude, that's not gonna happen. That's
Right.
not at all gonna happen. Like, what can we do to do that? Like, okay, I have one, and please, for the love of God, 48 people, please don't ban me. Please don't report me. This is a hypothetical, okay?
Just use very
I
coded
promise,
language.
as long as you don't vote me. Ooh, I'll try.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go. Okay, how do we fix this problem? I have a solution to this. Okay, you vote for me in the year 2040. Okay, and like not just as president of the United States, ruler of the whole fucking world. Okay, and so here's the thing, like the whole world, and now. I promise, and this is my primary campaign promise, okay, as ruler of the world, that if you can just excuse the fact that a lot of people are gonna die for like 10 years, like Give me like 10 to 15 years and don't ask questions, okay? And just let me have sole deciding like jurisdiction on life or death for every single person on the planet, right? I assure you that in 15 years the whole world will be a better place, right? But that's never ever going to happen because no one's ever going to have that much influence on the entire world. No one's ever going to allow everyone to kill everyone. Like, there's
Let's
too
bring it back
many
to reality here.
influencing factors and parties.
I'll
No, I
vote
know
for you.
exactly. Like, there's too many influencing and factors. Hey, thanks, Gringo Willie. No, man, it would be easy. It's not me deciding. It would be like a test that everyone takes the test. Everyone on the whole planet takes the test, and pass, fail, you get to continue on in a better world. Like, but I don't,
So
outside of something absolutely ridiculous and insane like that, I don't see how we on a global scale could cohesively agree to not destroy the world.
yeah, that's
Go
a
ahead, tell me your thoughts.
that's a little too doomerism and nihilism for me. I hear you. You're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just try not to put myself in that mental state.
Right, but you're going
Yeah, it's
like,
important.
Okay, so I mean,
to be clear,
so counter, give
I'm
what's
the
a
queen of the
solution?
universe. Don't be
Well,
confused. I have the crown.
she could
Like
be
I'm
the
Oh,
having
queen.
you
She
went
could
and
be the
got your
queen.
yeah,
tiara.
obviously, like it's me. Don't be confused. First of all.
That's fine.
Second of all,
Yeah.
like you can't do like Hunger Games style like tests to try and fix half the population. Like that's not gonna work. Like you can't just do tests and think that like that's the
That's
solution.
Well,
sure.
well, wonder if there's not a solution. I mean, here's something from a
I
70-something
mean,
year old
that's my
guy.
point, is that there's
Here's
not a solution.
something from a 70-something-year-old guy that's seen this dang thing repeat itself. I mean, I'm seeing fights in Peru and fights all over the place that I've seen several years ago. It's just like a cycle going over and over. Personally, I believe that we're in the time of chaos, and you can only add to chaos during this time. But I understand why the ego wants people to change what is. But what is what is. And I think if you the solution is there's no solution. I mean, you just have to go with the flow like us old hippies thought. You know, we
Yeah.
thought you have to go with the flow because we cannot, you know, even if I have a gun, even if you give me that right to have my gun, right? If soldiers show up at my door, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, there's no fight. The powers are more, you know, the thing is that we're in the time of chaos where we can you say enjoy it? I don't know if you enjoy it, but this is the time to accept it. And you guys, I'm
Okay.
talking to you guys, so I think you're in the same time I'm in, you know.
So there's a really interesting concept called the four turnings. There are four cycles to the big cycle. The modus operandi as humans, what we normally do is this big cyclical pattern. We have a crisis. Right now we are in the crisis. And then we have a regrowth, a rebirth, right? And then you have that new generation that leads to the third generation where everyone's comfortable. The people that remember the crisis are not in power anymore. So then the next, as these cycles shift, the the group that's in power don't remember the tragedy and the horror of the four generations or the three generations ago. It's a little complicated. Really interesting book on this by Strauss and Howe and Strauss, called The Four Turnings or The Fourth Turning. I
I have
digress.
to listen to that. You know,
It's it
just
it's
listen to
a
the Who.
um
Listen to
but
the Who.
my
Good
You're not gonna do that
advice.
let's
against me. You know, I'm not gonna fall for that again. Same boss. The new boss is the same as the old boss. Come on, man, let's party. Is that all there is, my friend? Take up a drink. You know that song?
did you say you're in your 70s?
Yeah, good
Can I
voice,
pick
huh?
on you for a minute, respectfully as possible?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
Just chaos. I love it. I love
It's
What
chaos.
I
beautiful.
what I see you exhibiting right now is the kind of behavior that is what I would consider too passive. It's dangerously passive. the kind of dangerously passive behavior that just allows you to think that you go with the flow and everything will work itself out, or that we are quite intentionally doomed to extinction. And maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe we are a species that can never overcome our own march towards extinction. Or we can choose to believe, because we don't have knowledge on this fact, we can choose to believe that we can overcome this march towards doom.
I wish I never knew that. I don't. I wish anybody your age and younger never know this, because I would have never been able to take care of my 4 kids and my family and work 14 hours a day if I know what I think I know today. So I don't put this on you guys. I think that I want to respect you guys and do your thing, man. That's part of chaos. Is that you're gonna work it, your ego's gonna push you till they can't push you anymore.
I want to know. I want to know the thing.
Oh.
No, I want to know. Willie, I desperately want to know the thing.
Yes, I just said it. Solution, but don't give up. Listen to the song.
So
If you all there is, my friend. Listen to that song. Listen to the Who. I mean, they had it. They pegged it. There is no solution, so just enjoy that there's no solution. It's just like you're in an argument with somebody, right? You're in an argument with the one you love, and there's just no solution. Okay, so who cares, man? Let's just have a good time. Let's think of something positive. Something positive.
Well,
If
all
the
right.
asteroid hits us in 5 years, all the things we're doing about climate change and everything is a waste of time, right?
Yeah, but then why
So
keep going on? Then why live for
why
tomorrow?
not? Why not? Because
Why?
life is not just solving problems. Life is to enjoy life. It's the existence of life. It's the love. It's the good things that you find. That's what makes the good things so nice. The positive things. You say
it's
the things
crazy.
negative about the government. What can we
Willie,
change? Well, let's enjoy the things that we have. The good things.
Willie, do
Yeah.
you have children?
That I raised 4,
City of
and I had like
Do
7
your do
grandkids.
your children's do your children's children do your children have children?
I have 7 or 8. I can't even count them.
Now, do you want your great 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 grandchildren the ability to enjoy life as well?
Enjoy life by practicing acceptance of what is, not what you perceive it should be.
No. I just the concept of wanting your children to have the opportunity to enjoy life as well. That's because that's what I'm talking about. I don't have
No,
any children,
I
but
respect that.
I want your children to have the opportunity to exist. That's what we're talking about. Now, if you don't have any solutions, then your time in this conversation has come to an end. But
Exactly.
okay, I
Exactly.
think we
I love
agree.
you guys. I love you guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Willie.
So I have a question, comment, consideration, concern, rant. Okay. So I was gonna say earlier that I think that it'll take like getting to a tipping point, like getting to literally the edge of the tipping point before anything will change. But then it occurred to me, right? So I warned you, okay? But then it occurred to me that like I don't know, what was it, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, somewhere in there, a bunch of climatologists got together and they said like 50 years. Like we have 50 years until the point of no return. We
Yeah.
have to limit carbon emissions like today or else, right? And so okay, so that's pretty big. Like that's that tipping point, right? Like that's the edge of the tipping point. Not quite the knife's edge, but just the bevel before. So, but nothing changes. To the contrary, our governments have doubled down. Like Europe just opened up a bunch of dirty coal factories, all sorts of dirt, like just obnoxious shit, right? So here's my question, comment, concerns. It's all a rant. Why does the government do nothing about it, right? And so I'm going to parallel this with previous like side side statement. Yes. So I'm gonna sidetrack that into money, right? Like what America is doing today is financially unstable and like there's a word, I'm missing it. It is non-sustainable, right? Like we cannot keep bleeding and printing and just osmosising money out of fucking nowhere. It's insane, right? And if you look at the numbers and like our debt, how it's climbing, it is completely unfeasible. Why are they not fixing this, right? Like this is anyone with a goddamn brain. I have a bachelor's in business finance and business management. I am not qualified at all to have an opinion on this, right? But I can see that this is clearly going to fail. But so bear with me here. I warned you that it was a rant and you gave me positive acknowledgement on continuing. So I love you. Okay, so here's the thing though, right? Like we know that this is unsustainable. They have to know that this is unsustainable and that everything is going to burn in the end, right? So, and let's parallel this to the earth. We know this is unsustainable and we know that everything is literally going to burn in the end, right? So why don't we give a fuck? Why don't we collectively give a fuck? Why aren't we in the streets freaking the fuck out, right? Like why aren't we sabotaging every single coal plant in the country? Why aren't we making an active effort to do this? Bear with me, Chels. I know, honey, I love you. Bear with me. I agree, right? And even then, like, I mean, that goes down a whole crazy thing. Like, when it's across the street from you, do you still not do something when it's your next door neighbor? Like, when it's the guy across the city, when it's the guy in the other city? At what point do I get involved? Do I get involved when it's in Philadelphia, or do I get involved when it's the guy right there, right? So, like, there's like, absolutely, I am guilty of that too. I am of when I have to, like, mindset. But so I have a theory, right? And it is because we know it's unsustainable and we know it's going to burn. And in both scenarios, right? Why? Why do we just let it happen? Because they want it to fail. So two things we'll start with the earth thing. I would find it most probable that there is, like, when you weigh the pros and cons, I assume that there is some knowledge that, like, okay, I'm going to go crazy. I don't know if you're aware of how the North Pole is moving, right? Are you aware of how the North Pole's geographic location is moving and how so over the last 7 years, it is rapidly sped up. We can track it from 1903 to today. The last decade, it started to really speed up as it travels south down the ocean. We are on the tipping point of a complete pole reversal.
Brian laughs at me.
Sure.
I call
Yeah,
it
that's
ice
a view.
hockey puck.
Ice hockey puck. Yeah.
It's an invisible line in my brain, not a thing, but sure. So we are drastically close to that, and that's terrifying to look at, right? Like to really critically consider that whole scenario is crazy because that's world ending. There's no coming back for that, right? So here's the concern part of my rant, right?
Okay.
What's the point of fixing everything if someone hypothetically knows that 70 years from now the poles are going to shift, everyone and everything is going to die? Like, it doesn't matter. The earth will wipe itself in hypothetically 70 years, right? Like, that seems like a plausible reason why the powers that be would just appear to give absolutely zero fucks. And that is my concern. Go ahead. Sorry. Thank you.
I think that,
Mic drop.
the impending doom is part of why.
Please mute yourself, Budapest. There's still a lot of your microphone is super sensitive. You've got a really good mic.
It's this thing. They're aftershocks. They're awesome. Hold on.
Okay, thank you, my friends, and I appreciate the rants. All right, Les, you're up.
I think the impending doom of the Earth is gonna get too close to the sun, or global warming, or just lots of scary things that people are afraid of. I think that's part of why we're not doing anything about it. Like, as long as it seems like there's no hope. As long as it seems like the people who are in power have too much power that they can't lose it, I don't think there is a good enough reason for most people to abandon their everyday like grind of, however they make their money, whatever they need to do or are doing in order to take care of their families and exist, unless there's some kind of shift that everyone can kind of get behind, that regardless of parties or religions or whatever, unless someone says like let's do this and then people agree, people are just going to keep doing whatever that is already working for them. Because I mean, for me, like my individual family is more important to me than, a family across the world that is surely suffering, but I can't reach them. And even if all of the ways that I know of, say, for example, if I wanted to save a starving African child, cue the music, I couldn't be sure that the money I donate would actually get to that person and that I would actually make a difference. And there's so many ways that like nonprofits or small businesses or, whatever, that we're trying to help people, but it's not working the way that it's intended or that is satisfactory to keep doing it. Like you can donate money to, whatever cause you want, but it's not going to cause the shift that we would need where like everybody is sort of involved. Like we have to work within, I think, the system that we already have to make small changes that will agreeably and recognizably make a difference so that we can continue making small changes and over time get to where we're trying to go. And like I don't know if we could do a strike. I think that'd be really awesome. For example, like if we
Yeah.
could strike with our demands, and nobody shows up to work, I think that would get some attention. Like a business, like some of these big
The
businesses, like a
problem is
gas station,
50% of
can't
the
be
world doesn't
closed.
think fucking global warming's real.
Um, I would push back on that a little bit. I've less. I want to go on a rant next, so but I want to let you wrap it up first.
I mean, I guess all I'm trying to say is that most people recognize that the world isn't fair, but they feel like it's fair because it's unfair for everyone. Everybody has their challenges. Everybody is trying really hard, but it doesn't always work out, and that's just the way life is. And I think for the most part, if their kids are fed, they've got clothes on their back, they've got a roof over their head, most people just figure they'll just keep doing what's working for them, and they're not going to change that and risk that unless they feel pretty confident that there's a change is actually going to happen. So you can do your rant now.
We're inherently really
So-
selfish. I'm gonna log off, my guy. I'm still
Okay.
gonna stay in the chat and listen. I'm just gonna go out into the shop and work on some stuff. I love you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Love you too. Be careful. Always use your hearing protection. Hearing loss is permanent.
We need to talk about his beard for a whole second. Dude, you give me so much anxiety when you get so close to your lathe and your beard isn't tucked in somewhere. You give me panic attacks, my guy. All right? You get so close, and all I keep thinking of is, it's just going to...
Oh my God, she's absolutely right.
So
Yeah.
many panic attacks.
It doesn't matter how small your lathe is, and trust me, my lathe's bigger than yours. But it doesn't matter. A quarter horsepower lathe will take your chin off, my guy. Put it in your shirt.
Or, at least put it in a little, hair tire.
Put a rubber band around it. Put it in
Bro,
your.
you're giving me nightmares, man.
Yeah,
Nightmares.
yes, for realsies, my guy. You need a good turning smock that has a tall collar, right? And put your beard, which is a huge liability, into your shirt somehow. Okay. Good call, Chelsea. Yes, thank you. We all need to be safe in the shop. Fingers and
thinking of that.
toes don't grow back, neither do
I was-
chins.
I was thinking about like a beard net. Like, I legitimately was thinking about messaging him and like, dude, get a beard net because like you're giving
Yeah.
me nightmares.
Yeah. When I started turning and I started looking into the safety protocols, I learned things like never use a cloth rag on a moving lathe because that cloth rag could get wrapped around your finger and take it off like that. I have broken my finger on a lathe. It was a horrible, horrible accident. I still turn, but I learned my lesson. They are incredibly dangerous tools, no matter how small yours is. And I have a 2 horsepower, Powermatic that will take your arm off. I digress. Okay, to my rants. There are 2 types of people in the world: those that put people in categories and those who don't. Need I say more? There are 2 types of people in the world. Though there's always going to be a percentage of people that are doomers, and there's nothing we can say to get through to you. I get it. I am a doomer too. It is a mental disease that I recognize in myself, and I actively try to overcome it by thinking about these solutions. To my second point, just having this conversation on TikTok is a form of social outreach, right? We're spreading ideas. Ideas are memes. Even though we're not banging pots and pans in the streets today, I have in the past. I have marched for days. I have knocked on hundreds of doors. I have spoken with thousands of people. And it's just the activist in me, I guess. It started at a very young age. My mom taught me how to do it. It is a learned behavior. And talking about it encourages us to do more, to get into the streets when the time comes, to put our bodies on the wheels and the levers and the gears of power. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said so eloquently, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Or something, I might be getting it wrong, I'm sorry. But to your other point, I took notes. There's no such thing as financial debt. Money is made up. None of it matters. It's just numbers on a computer screen right now. Yes, it represents hours of people's lives and labor and goods and services rendered. I understand how an economy works. But at the end of the day, there's no such thing as financial debt because money is a made up concept. We have to radically change the paradigm of money and the commoditization of our time and our value. And like Les said earlier, how do you pay for the laundry soap? Yes, everyone needs laundry soap. Everyone needs these basic things. We have to radically shift away from the concept of commoditizing our time and our lives and our livelihood, our well-being, our happiness, our opportunity to procreate into the future is in threat. It's in jeopardy. It's in terrible, terrible jeopardy. And maybe the doomers are right. Maybe it's all futile. But I actively try not to think that way because it is a disease of the mind. I don't know. My next thought is this. I've been on for a couple hours now. I'd like to
Your
put
next
a
thought better
pause
be on the fluffy cloud.
on a fluffy cloud. I want to end the live so that I can end this stream, but I'm willing to come back. But before I do that, I want to give Chelsea and Les a moment to share their thoughts. If anyone wants to come up and speak for 5 or 10 minutes, keep it brief. I'll allow it. But I do want to wrap this live up. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be right back. I mean, actually, it's 4 o'clock. I should probably, yeah. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for now. Maybe I'll be back tonight.
We got things to do today.
I got life to live and chores to
We got
do.
things to do.
But I think I've said my part. I think I've got my important thoughts across. And I thank you all for listening and being here. So I'm not ending it right now. Les and Chelsea, please share your thoughts.
I'm gonna let's go first.
All right, leave be upon you, for one.
Thank
I
you, my friend. Leaf be upon you.
I think Lisa is the single best argument for a deity that I've ever heard. That fits all of the omni characteristics, and is not hateful and all that stuff. So, thanks for opening my eyes to that. I truly think that it is possible to fix the system that we have. We just need to, I mean, like, drain the swamp. I know that's a very like Republican thing to say, but I think like the core of it rings true. We need to get the grime out of politics, and then we can use the system the way it's meant to be. I think we need to tax the rich, tax billionaires. Corporations need to do their part. I think government grants should be given only to companies that, you know, fit the mold of like what we actually need to be striving for. Um, yeah, and that, I mean, that's pretty much it. Take the purple pill. Love you guys.
Take the purple pill. Awesome. All right, Les, be well.
I like Les. I'm gonna follow Les too.
Yeah.
Okay, she said the religion thing, so I want to come back because okay, go ahead.
So
No,
in the
no,
other
you-
in the other live, we were talking about the Matrix, and he was like, "You're gonna have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. I'm the one." And I was like, and the other guy was like, "What are you in the Matrix? You're not Neo." And he was like, "I'm the only one." And I was like, "You can't make people make a decision on a red or blue pill." I was like, "You have to be neutral. You have to make the decision that is equal for everyone." And he goes, "Yeah, the black pill." And I was like, "Whoa, red and blue
Yeah.
make purple. So like, be clear here. So take the purple pill, man.
Basic color theory, dude.
Basic color here."
Okay. Okay, I have a stupid rant, and actually the only reason I even requested today is like totally unrelated to anything we're talking about. But
Okay.
have I told you, hold on, that's uncomfortable. Have I told you about why I would be a Jew if I believed in God?
No,
I just wanna
please
talk
do
about
tell. Oh, yeah, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay,
Happy
so-
ranting.
Okay. I appreciate you. I didn't go to work today. I didn't feel like it, so I'm here. Okay, so here's my thought. Because my wife, so this conversation started by my wife like pushing me and probing to try and like get me to be like, well, there might be a God, like she, just fishing for validation or whatever, right? So I played devil's advocate, if you will, and I said, okay, let's suppose that there is an almighty deity and he is Abrahamic, right? So that's true. Then what religion am I? Because if I'm going to make that concession, then I have to I don't know if I'm a Christian because, we're just talking about Abrahamic God. So I've decided that God is perfect, all-knowing, omnipotent, omniscient, right? Like, God is perfect. Therefore, in my mind, the only acceptable answer for the perfect God would be the first iteration of his words and his message and his wants for his people, right? Like, the very first time. Because a perfect God wouldn't make a mistake. A perfect God would have positioned his position the first time in such a way that it was perfect, right? Like it wouldn't need revision, it wouldn't need reconsideration or reinterpretation. A perfect entity would create the perfect set of words for all time to represent him. And so that being said, like Judaism is the only true religion. Anything after Judaism has to be blasphemy because you can't think that your God is perfect and all-knowing and then also think that, he wasn't right. Like he had to do it again. Like he had to try again. And then he had to try again. And that I feel like that's total bullshit and disingenuous to the idea of the God that I'm believing in right now, right?
I guess,
I'm a
but
Jew.
you can't just choose to be Jewish. It's part of a lineage. It's a heritage. It's a biological chain. Or am I wrong?
You can convert. It's just super hard.
So can you not
convert. It
do
is
people not
possible.
just
It's
convert to
super hard.
Judaism? So I think that the mistake here is that Judaism is both a race and a religion, right? Like
Right.
Jews are a people but Judaism is a belief system. You can convert to Judaism, but no matter how long I grow out my sideburns and curl them, I'll never be a Jew.
But according to the scripture, God pointed at a group of people.
But you're right. But it's the Jews
and
are the
said,
chosen people.
You are
You're
the
right.
chosen people, and everybody else is not the chosen people. Which means it's
now you're right.
Not, it's a lineage. It's not just a belief system. Which furthers
you're right.
Which furthers
it's
the
both.
absurdity
But
of
you're
the
right.
case.
It's the chosen people. So, do you think so? Does this hypothetical me, like the Jewish convert, do I not get into heaven because I'm not genetically Jewish? That's fucked up, man. I was like ready to fucking convert and shit, but I don't get into heaven because I'm not the chosen people. I don't got the. Well, to be fair, I just submitted my 23andMe test like last week, so I don't know if I'm not Jewish. I might find out next week.
You're gonna need like
It said like 7 to 21 days or something. I could be.
We did the 23andMe. I have like some percentage of Ashkenazi, but here's the thing. If we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, how chosen do you have to be?
It's all absurdity to me, but believe whatever you want to believe.
See, dude,
Just
I
don't
can't
let
win for
legislation on your
losing, man.
beliefs.
Can we talk about that later? I genuinely want a believer to come in and be like, but did you know that he only chose them?
And we've got like a 2 seconds delay now.
Yeah, I'll go. I passively knew this thing, yes. Once, like, I put it all together and, like, then, like, you're right, it's the chosen people. Like, it is almost distinctly a genetic favoritism. No, you're right, I never considered that. Like, well, I might have passively known that it did not form into my conversion to Judaism in my mind. Yeah. Well, son of a bitch, now I'm an atheist again.
Better luck next time. Try again.
You haven't even considered Lisa or...
Yeah. Love you guys. Have a good night.
He hasn't even considered Lisa. How dare he?
Leave be upon you, my brother. She pooped for our sins.
It's true. Anybody left?
All right, last call. Smoke them if you got them. Figuratively speaking.
Later.
See you later, Chelsea. Talk soon.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Wait.
Oh, boom! Super nerds unites.
Later, bro.
Later. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. This was fun. I had a good time. Sincerely. I hope everyone else enjoyed it too. All right. Stay skeptical.